The Democratic Messaging Project was started by Tracy Sherman and Joanne Lulin in 2022. This is a grassroots organization working to get the truth out about what President Biden and Democrats have actually done. We work in the 4 states that will decide the 2024 presidential election: Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Tracy Sherman is in charge of our billboards and college outreach. She became a grassroots devotee in 2016 when Trump was elected and believes that 2024 will decide whether we'll be a democracy or not. DMP was launched before the 2022 midterm elections when we feared a red wave was coming. Due to the information algorithm and resulted fractured, siloed media, no one knew what Biden and the Democrats had done and who Trump and the Republicans really were. There's a real clear strategy in our work, honed with Democratic partners, the consultants there, Bob Creamer, Mike Lux, and Celinda Lake, longtime consultants and researchers at the top level of politics. There is very specific wording, graphics, and even what zip codes the board should be placed in to reach Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters. DMP put up billboards that were seen by 59 million people. This year, colleges will be included using door hangers, flyers, and kiosk displays because we know how important the youth vote will be. As we all know, the red wave never happened, unless you're counting the red wave of women's periods that can flow freely at their choice as women and men of all ages vote and voted to keep politics out of women's bodies. Our 2024 billboards have already been reserved and paid for with an estimated 50 million views. We are on a mission to make sure a second Trump presidency never happens and a House of Representatives returns to the Democrats and the Senate and President remain in Democratic hands. Lisa Liddell is the head of another project, rolling billboards that show the results of the Invest in America acts that Biden and Harris were able to pass, mostly without Republican votes. Biden and the Democrats are incentivizing investment throughout the country and in our 4 states to get private and public investment through the American Rescue Plan, the Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. There are going to be 37,000 such projects. These acts lower medical costs, repair bridges and roads, train tracks, and more, increasing access to the internet all over the country, making chips in America, creating renewable energy to move away from fossil fuels, to make electric cars, batteries, and so much more. These projects create hundreds and thousands of jobs. These were all passed by Democrats, and only 3 Republicans in our 4 states in total voted for them. Yet Republicans everywhere are touting these projects, and we want to make sure that the voters in our states know that this was only because of Biden, Harris, and Democrats. Our rolling billboards will be near these projects and bring attention to them. Just a few examples in our states. Michigan, there is a $19 billion in private investment in electric vehicles and batteries, which creates over 18,000 jobs. 2 Republicans in Michigan voted for it. Wisconsin, there are 155,000 new jobs and $1 billion in private investment building clean and renewable power. Pennsylvania, $6.6 billion is being spent on roads and bridges with over 500,000 jobs. When the I-95 bridge collapsed in June, the monies from the Invest in America acts, the bridge was rebuilt in 12 days. And again, in Pennsylvania, 1 Republican voted for these bills. Arizona, $60 billion in private investment in semiconductors or chips, with 7,500 jobs in that arena and 2,500 jobs in clean energy. No Republican voted for these. Rebecca Flynn is our mobile ad genius. She is also an activist in grassroots. She's an expert in mobile ads that show up on phones and computers. Think apps about weather, sports, etc. We show ads on phones in the districts we are focusing on. These have been in 2022 and will be in 2024 about abortion, birth control, jobs creation, voting rights, healthcare, and many more accomplishments for seniors and so much more. We make our ads in Spanish as well to reach that population. The ads give a call to action. People click to our website and we can direct them to when and where to vote, how to help others, and many more ways to save the democracy. Connected TV ads are in streaming platforms, tiny short ads with sound and video that can make a powerful impact. In 2022, we had 24 million ads viewed with 400,000 click-throughs, which we've been told is 25 times the average. Clearly, we have the right images going to the right people. And they're cheap. $500 buys 350,000 ads seen by voters, 50,000 streaming TV ads. And they're very easy to scale, can be set up in a new location in one day. Scotty Sandow is our What Would We Look Like Without Him? He manages a website and social media platforms, and we are blossoming greatly into that world. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and doing podcasts with Joanne, better known as Jo Ranty, giving a rant every day for people to watch. Someone recently said, I don't know why you don't have 1 million followers. We also have a newsletter letting you know what is going on, and we send it out sparingly. Finally, our podcast, hosted by Joanne. We've had terrific guests, Zach Malamed, running against George Santos. You know him, Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. Zoe Zephyr, who's the first trans woman in Montana State Legislature, who was kicked out because of her complaining about the anti-LGBTQ law. And then our wonderful Anna Eshoo, the Congress member from the 16th District of California. Upcoming guests include Speaker Emeriti Nancy Pelosi, Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, and the current California Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, who is running for governor. Joanne Lulin is an activist and started many different groups, including Local Majority, that writes research papers for state legislative candidates. In 2022, I started DMP with Tracy Sherman. My job is to raise the money for these projects. We've already raised $500,000, but we need another $200,000 to keep the vision going about what is happening and what are the stakes in the 2024 election. A recent poll showed Biden down in relationship to Trump. I want to say that this poll was taken on landlines and cell phones. Think for a minute. Have you ever answered such a poll? I highly doubt it. These polls are skewed towards way older people. I promise there are no young people under 40 who have a landline, and probably any more under 50. And they do not pick up their phones even when their mother calls, not to mention a number they don't know. As a recent movie character said, don't be old, text. So there are no young people answering these polls. I'm not saying Biden doesn't have some problems. Let's say the Middle East war for one, where right-wing men are killing and murdering without stop. And they want to do that so they can stay in power. Trump has said he will do the same. However, what Biden has done in the U.S. and abroad is amazing, and his policies are supported by over 60% of people when you take each accomplishment separately. What is not known is what Biden has done. Here are some of the top ones. The first reasonable gun law in 50 years. Medicare being able to negotiate drug prices, which was never done in the history of the U.S. More jobs than in the last 50 years. More investment in climate change in the history of the United States. Impacting student loans for 2 million students. Give him another 4 years and that number will increase dramatically. His diplomacy in getting NATO countries active to oppose the Russians marching into Ukraine. Biden did that with all his relationships over the last 60 years with leaders everywhere. I know there are many groups that are now asking for your time, treasure, and support. However, in this one, you can choose the project you want to support: college information, rolling billboards, mobile ads, social media, and getting the word out about our work. I know people are worried that what if something happens to Biden? Even though I want to remind everyone Trump is only 3 years younger, and yet people fuss about Biden's age. One of the many right-wing media talking points that people absorb. One is people say they hate Kamala Harris, the vice president. I keep wondering, hate? That's a very strong word. How come? She is working tirelessly to help save the democracy and make it better. She worked hand in glove choosing people to help run the administration, which has more women and people of color in it than any before it, including Obama's, by the way. She also has been instrumental in choosing the judges that Biden is appointing to key places in the country. Again, more women and more people of color throughout the judicial world in the U.S., and that is key to keeping our democracy going. Everyone says, ooh, let's get another candidate. Another right-wing talking point. Biden is the candidate. Get over it. and start working to help him win.
A very important fact is he has outraised Trump every quarter since this race began. He is the candidate. Pull up your big panties and let's get to work.
Don't wait for a savior.
You are who can save the democracy.
As John Lewis said,
If not us, then who? Seriously, think about that for a minute. Who besides you? And if not now, when? There is no more of an emergency than you need. This is when. Please support Democratic Messaging Project in any of our areas. We are going to help you feel better about saving the democracy.